Hey, and welcome to our latest Strategy Masterclass from Strategy in Action. Today we're going to be exploring OKRs, Objectives and Key Results, which are a goal-setting system that often sit as part of project management for large and small organizations globally. We've had some further information, articles that we've released related to OKRs in the recent weeks, and this is part of that series, deep diving on how it can be useful for you and your organization. So let's get into it. So what are OKRs? Well, OKRs represent the application of the Agile methodology within strategy work. So Agile methodology is an approach which actually came out of software development quite a few years ago, and it involves breaking down larger projects into smaller bite-sized chunks. And OKRs is a goal-setting system that often sits within that. So what do OKRs stand for? Objectives and key results. Firstly then, what is the objective? Well, the objective for an organization is the answer to the question, where do I need to go? It's a clear target, almost like the destination of a boat or the destination of a vehicle. Where do we ultimately need to go? Where are we trying to get to? And by definition, an objective should be significant, it should be concrete, it should be action-oriented, and ideally, it should be something which is inspirational. It should be an inspirational and aspirational goal that an individual or a team are ultimately working towards. Then is the key result. Well, the key result are the measurable steps, the quantifiable measurable steps of how we're going to go and get to our objective. So key results should be very specific, they should be time-bound, they should be aggressive yet realistic, measurable, and verifiable. So some of you may know SMART goal setting, it's very closely linked to that. And with this in mind, there are a few rules that we like to keep in mind when we define key results. Firstly, as I said, they have to be measurable. So we need to have a specific number attached to it. We need to achieve XX% of something completed or not completed. The person in charge needs to have the power, the skills, and the resources to implement the key results. They need to be in charge of it. They need to have ownership and responsibility for it. Every key result needs to be realistic, as we said, but it also needs to be challenging. So we need to make measurable progress within a defined time frame. And ordinarily, that's 3 months, but we'll come onto that in more detail in just a few moments. And finally, for every single objective, generally, we want a maximum of 3 or 4 key results. We don't want a long laundry list of 10, 20, 30 key results, which realistically are never going to get tracked. We want 2, 3, 4 key results. So what are some of the key benefits for organizations, teams, and individuals when implementing and executing OKR methodology? Well, first and foremost, focus. Secondly, alignment. And thirdly, commitment. Why focus? OKRs help companies to focus on a few key objectives that will ultimately have significant impact. They help companies to focus on the most important objectives of their action plan, really honing in on what we're ultimately trying to achieve. Alignment, because we align the entire company behind the most important goals. And this is crucial for employee engagement. We want everyone to be involved, we want everyone to be aligned, we want everyone to feel like they're part of building towards something bigger. And this fosters collaboration and eliminates redundancies. And finally, commitment. Good OKRs start with the why, a clear and attractive goal to achieve. It motivates people, it gives them a commitment, it gives them ownership behind this cause, behind what the organization is ultimately driving towards. So let's look here at a few examples, and these admittedly are very high level and broad examples of weak all the way through to strong OKRs. And here we're going to take a very broad objective, a very big inspirational goal from the sporting world, which is win the Formula One British Grand Prix. So win a specific Grand Prix within the Formula One season. So weak examples of the key results that sit within that would be increased lap speed and reduced pit stop time. And the reason this is a weak example because what does increased lap speed really mean? By how much? In which sectors? Reduced pit stop time, again, by how much? By half a second, by a second, by 10 seconds? It doesn't give much information. Now let's look at an average construction of the OKR. Again, the objective remains the same, win the Formula One British Grand Prix, and now we have 2 key results. Increase average lap speed by 2% and reduce average pit stop time by 1 second. Okay, there's some decent information in there, but now let's look at a strong definition of objectives and key results. Finally, the objective remains the same: win the Formula 1 British Grand Prix, and the key results now are increase average lap speed by 2%, test at the wind tunnel 10 times, reduce average pit stop time by 1 second, reduce pit stop errors by 50%, and practice pit stops 1 hour per day. We believe that if we do all 5 of those things and we achieve all 5 of those things to the goal, to the key result that we've outlined, that ultimately it will enable us, or at least support us, in achieving that overriding objective of winning the Formula 1 British Grand Prix. Now, there are some common mistakes when it comes to implementing OKRs, so let's just run through them quickly now. Firstly, OKRs are not a task list. OKRs are not project management. You're not building out activities and milestones. You are defining ultimately what we want to achieve and what we measure that tells us if we're achieving it or not. We don't want to set too many OKRs. As we said earlier on, we don't want a big laundry list of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We'll never be able to track them. Not aligning our OKRs, so the OKRs should never just be set completely in isolation. They need to be aligned across the organization and across teams. We also don't want to set it and forget it. Often, and this is the challenge with OKRs or project management or anything, we say we're going to do something and we don't do it. And a way that we can get around that, or at least mitigate against it, is by not setting too many OKRs as well. Last two then, we want to go in and we want to set measurable results. So we don't want to set unmeasurable results. Every key result needs to be something that we can go in and measure in a quantitative manner. And finally, we don't want to set up OKRs that are easily achievable, that we can just tick off the list and say we did that. We want to set OKRs that are stretch targets that we need to really strive for, and generally we should be able to actually achieve 60 or 70% of these. Lastly then, let's look at how we align the organization and how we set up the cadence of building and reviewing OKRs. Well, within Agile methodology, and this doesn't need to be utilized, but it's often best practice, OKRs are tracked on a quarterly basis, so every 3 months. So we will build out the top level OKRs, we'll cascade that down to the teams, and then on a quarterly basis, as you can see here, in May, in June, in September, and December, we'll track the OKRs, we'll track their effectiveness, we'll see what's working, what isn't working, how do we need to adapt, refine, and potentially adapt in order to improve moving forward. This then was just a little bit of an overview of the OKR methodology and how we implement and execute OKRs. As I said at the top of this video, we also have some articles and other assets that have come up recently exploring this topic, and it's something that we'd be more than happy to talk through with you in further detail as well. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you for the next one. Thank you.